Hey guys, and welcome back to my channel. So for today's video, we are going to talk about the saying, you don't look like you have ADHD. We're just going to talk about that because honestly it's such a stupid statement, and honestly it makes no sense at all, because how can you not look like you have ADHD? Because ADHD doesn't alter one's appearance. It doesn't make you look any different from anybody else. So yeah, we're going to talk about that today, because when you're asked, well not even asked, when someone says to you, you don't look like you have ADHD, it's a really invalidating statement, because it's almost like, you don't look like you've got it, so shut up, you know, stop talking about it. And it makes you feel like your feelings and experiences aren't valid because they can't see it, because you don't have any, like, you know, appearance, like a facial defect, or you don't have any limbs missing, you know, because you can't see ADHD and it doesn't alter one's appearance. It doesn't matter, does it? You can't have it because you look normal. Like, yeah, we're going to talk about that today because that's something that just really infuriates me. So before we start, if you could smash me a big thumbs up down below and subscribe to my YouTube channel, I will forever be grateful. So yeah, let's get on to the video. So as many of you are aware, ADHD does carry quite a hefty stigma. A lot of people that don't have ADHD just choose to be ignorant and they don't want to learn because it's just like, oh, it's not that bad, or like, oh, it doesn't affect me, so I'm not interested. A lot of people have the stigma that it's not a real diagnosis, or you know, that it's only hyperactivity only affects a person's energy levels or motivation levels. People don't realise that actually it's a huge complex disorder. People don't realise the complexity of ADHD. One of the biggest, personally, like assumptions that really annoy me is the one that you don't look like you have ADHD. Like, what do people expect me to look like? Like, I don't understand. A lot of people, you know, will be like, oh, that's a good thing, take that as a positive. No, I don't take it as a positive, because quite honestly it's really invalidating when someone says, well, you don't look like you have ADHD, and it's almost like, well, are you questioning me? Do you think I'm a fraud? That statement is really like quite it's an unfair one, and it can trigger a lot of like imposter syndrome kind of things, you know, rejection sensitivity. You can overthink things, and it's just not a nice thing to say to somebody who suffers and struggles every day with their ADHD. So when individuals say you don't look like you have ADHD, what I actually think they mean is you don't look like a young boy who has boundless amounts of energy, jumping from here to there, not stopping, on the go, you know, need to be stimulated 24/7. I think that's what people will get confused with, is that you don't have to be hyperactive to have ADHD, and unless you have hyperactivity traits, you obviously don't have ADHD, do you? I think people kind of forget that there are variants of ADHD. It's not just one specific type of ADHD. Everyone is going to have a different experience with ADHD. You cannot physically look like you have ADHD. There is no like facial defects, there are no missing limbs, there is nothing that will physically affect you with ADHD. It's not going to alter your appearance. It's not going to, you know, you aren't going to lose a leg, you're not going to lose an arm, you're not going to, you know, there isn't going to be any like physical appearance that's going to be altered by having ADHD. So unlike Down syndrome does affect and alter one's appearance. ADHD doesn't. I think people assume that if you have a disorder or something that, you know, is neurologically wrong with your brain, it's going to alter how you look, and that is a real kind of, it's a dangerous game to be playing, because the thing is, that's just not the case. And this is why so many, especially women, are going misdiagnosed, because women tend to have different traits. They have more of an like inattentive kind of ADHD traits, not all the time, because I don't. So it is known that women are more likely to go misdiagnosed or completely missed and just not diagnosed, because we are able to mask a lot more than men can. That isn't saying men don't, but women are more likely to go misdiagnosed or completely missed because we are able to mask. Whereas boys are more physically hyperactive, and they are known to be more physically hyperactive. Whereas women, we are known to have more inattentive traits. That doesn't mean we don't have hyperactivity traits, but they do say if we have hyperactivity traits, it's more like our brain, like a busy brain, or like we're chatty, whereas boys are more physically hyperactive. Again, people assume that to have ADHD you need to have bad grades, you need to be excluded from school regularly, you need to be kind of like naughty, you need to, you know, be the bad student, never turn up on time, always forget homework. But the reality is that isn't the case. There are many ADHDers who thrive in an educational setting, but there are also many ADHDers who don't. So everyone is going to have their own experience with ADHD, and it's really dangerous to assume that everyone is going to be the same and it's going to affect everybody the same. For me, I can't sit and physically read a book. Like, I'm not interested. I end up reading the same sentence over and over again, and it just doesn't work for me. But there are some ADHDers that I personally know that they're like bookworms and they really enjoy reading. I am jealous because I would absolutely love to be able to read a book, but the thing is, it's not my experience, but it's theirs, and they have an ADHD diagnosis too. So it just does show that everyone's experience and everyone's ADHD is different. There is no one size fits all when it comes to ADHD. I wish this was the case for me, but you do not need to be impulsive to have ADHD. No, you don't. I wish it was my experience, but it's not. I am super impulsive, but I also know people who are overly cautious that have ADHD, and being spontaneous freaks them out. So my whole purpose for this YouTube video in particular is that I want to educate others. I want people to know that there is no specific look for ADHD, and it's really invalidating and kind of rude when you know, oh, you don't look like you have ADHD. Like, yeah, okay, but I don't know what that means, because what are you trying to say? You know, it can be interpreted in many different ways, and it can still be rude any way you try to interpret it. Like, honestly, it's a super hard thing to try and process, because when people say it to you, you're just like, well, does that mean like everyone sees me like that? So like, nobody is going to believe I have ADHD, so when I want help, people are just going to be like, yeah, now you're doing that as an excuse, or you're just jumping on the trend. Because it's really hard, because you're not taken seriously enough when you go to see a professional, and you don't need other people who actually aren't professionals giving their unprofessional advice, because it puts people off reaching out for help. And it's really hard for me to bite my tongue when I see comments and when I hear people say it. It's just like, just take your stereotype stigma away and just leave us alone, because people do so much like harm online because they forget that their words actually do hurt and they do impact individuals' life. So stop trying to make people feel like their experiences and their struggles aren't valid just because they don't look like the typical or stereotyped ADHD young boy that you think that everyone needs to look like, because there is no specific version of what ADHD looks like. There's no actual physical way that ADHD would look on someone. So yeah. Thank you so much for watching this video, and I really hope that, you know, if you're watching this and you have said that a few times to people before, don't worry. Just learn from it. Don't do it again. Don't say it. If you're going to say something, just be really mindful that your words have power, and how you say things and how, you know, what you share with other people, it can have a tremendous impact on an individual. So just be super careful what you say and how you say things, because you don't know what or how that person is going to take it. So thank you so much for watching, and I really hope that you've enjoyed it. Please share, like, subscribe and comment, all that, and I will see you next time. Thank you so much. Bye.